for the proof. So we have this proof here, and basically we want to prove that PR is congruent to SR, and we're told that angle Q is congruent to angle T, and that QR is congruent to TR. So let's label the given stuff, okay? Q is congruent to angle T, and then we're told that this QR is congruent to TR. All right, so now to prove this, I think that I have to prove congruent triangles. And this, ironically, this is very similar to problem number 6. Again, I could say that because these are vertical angles, then I have an angle side angle theorem, right? Yes?
How do you know? Do you just know that they're vertical angles because they have their...
Yeah, well, obviously Mr. Adams is a math teacher, so it just kind of pops in my head. But that's what you go through a checklist, though, right? So vertical angles is always the first thing that you think of in parallel line properties. Since I don't have anything that suggests that those lines are parallel, boom, that's off the list. Can't use that. Then I see, oh, I have lines that are crossing. Will the vertical angle thing help? In this case, it does. If there weren't vertical angles, then I just go through the checklist, right? Usually with congruent triangles, and think about everything that we've covered in chapter 4, we've either had parallel lines, the properties of parallel lines with a transversal, or reflexive property, or the definition of a midpoint. And so if you just kind of go through, do I know where to start? No, but I start with something and just kind of go through the checklist, and one of them will work. Okay. As you do this more, like Mr. Adams, obviously as a math teacher, I've done this sort of thing a lot. I go through the checklist really quickly. You know. So let's go through this now. Now I've kind of done this informally. Let's fill in the blanks here. It says that triangle PRQ is congruent to that SRT. Well, why is that? Well, I have an angle, and I have a side, and then I have an angle. So I think this will be ASA. I think. We're going to double check it with one of the multiple choices. And then, how do I know that PR, this, is congruent to this? PR is congruent to SR. What's that property? Well, isn't that corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent? So what multiple choice answer is it? D. It's D, right? And let me check my solutions. Hey, that's right. Does that make sense to you guys? So now I think sometimes when you guys try to do these proofs, you get overwhelmed. And so you're like, oh, it's got to be... And if that first thing doesn't work, you kind of get overwhelmed. And you're like, I'll never figure this out. No, just remain calm. Go through the checklist. And sometimes you'll forget stuff too. Right? Like maybe if you look at this problem, you forgot the vertical angles are congruent. And that's okay. That's why we're here. That's how we're learning it.